How do you make a scatter chart in Excel? That it's a very common practice, and unfortunately, it's one that many people either don't do well or they just don't achieve what they could do with these. So let's look at what we've got here. You don't need to keep seeing me, so let me disappear. So we need a data set. Hello, give me my data. Whoops, there's my scatter chart. So this is a simulated data set of 400 credit card customers, characteristics of the customer, their income, credit rating, their gender, a variety of things, and how much they owe. And first off, let's suppose we wanted to look at the relationship between what they owe on their card and what their credit rating is. Do people with low credit ratings borrow more or borrow less? Those with high credit ratings, meaning really good credit, do they borrow more or do they borrow less? So let's start out there. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to start with credit rating. Now I'm selecting this variable, but not the label at the top. You can, but sometimes it gives you strange results. So it's not consistent in Excel. Excel always has little surprises for us, and generally we don't like surprises. So I haven't selected the top row with the labels in it. I'm going to go over here to Insert, and I'm going to hit Recommended Charts, and it's suggesting a scatter chart. I could also have gone to All Charts down the list and get an XY scatter chart. Okay, let's put that in there. The default chart that we get, it has a title, but it doesn't tell me what my variables are because I didn't tell them. But even if we did, it generally doesn't put them in. So let me start out, and as the very first step, generally add the chart elements, add axis titles. So on the horizontal, I've got credit rating. Oops, I probably, okay. And on the vertical axis, add chart element, axis titles, vertical. I'm going to put balance. I don't like reading up and down. It works for many people and it uses space effectively, but if the title is short, I like to change it. So I clicked on that axis title. I right click. That's how I got this thing here. Format axis title, I've asked it to do. And if I go over to text direction, I can rotate it to horizontal. And I find that easier to read. It looks like as a credit rating goes up, balance goes up. I recommend that you also change your title and make it something informative. If this picture is telling you a story and is telling you that balance increases with credit rating, then say balance increases with credit rating. Or if you want to be a newsier type of title, you could say people with good credit borrow more. Get the reader's attention. Okay. Now I can dress up this further, that I've got titles and that type of thing, and it does look like it's an upward sloping pattern. I could also add additional elements, like it looks like almost like a straight line. So I could go over here to quick layout, and there are different layouts to it. One of them has a line in it. Actually, two of them do. I don't want this descriptor over here. I can take it out. My line, if you can read this, it's good for you. My eyes are not that great. As you saw, I'm an old guy. And so I like my lines to be bright and thick. But we have our own preference. It's there, that line jumps out at me, and it emphasizes how it's increasing. Excel has different options for putting lines through, and there's a mathematical procedure it uses to find the best line through the scatter. And this is for a straight line. Logarithmic ones are more curved, and you may or may not like that type of thing. If you want a really curvy one, like this scatter looks like it's going up and then it levels out. It's like an S. So I might try a polynomial. Polynomials are formulas that have x and x squared and x cubed, x to the fourth. And you can tell what order it is, how high it gets. This one goes up to x squared. It's order 2. If I wanted power 3, I've got x cubed. It's still not twisty enough. If I go to x fourth, ooh, there we go. So it's sort of flat, goes up, slows down. Now it says it speeds up again. If I go higher, it says it goes up and then it twists back again. You can keep twisting it any which way we like. So that's really neat in the way it does that. I'm going to throw, unfortunately, when I went through all of these, it took my title away. I don't know why it did that to me. As I said, Excel does strange things to you. So I'm going to throw this one out and try a different picture. Suppose I was interested in seeing, do banks let you borrow more if you've got better credit? Makes sense. So that's limit and rating. Let's grab those two and insert chart. And that looks good. Great. Exactly what I thought. If I've got good credit, they'll give me a higher limit. But look at the numbers. I'm not sure if you can see the scale that we've got here, but this on the horizontal is going from 0 up to 16,000. That's not a credit score. The credit scores in this data set only go up to the ratings, if you can see them here, go up maybe to 1,000. Here's something that goes up to 1,000. This has the rating on the vertical axis and the limit on the horizontal. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to flip those two axes around. So could I switch row and column? Would that do it? No. Row and column is talking about my data being in columns versus my data being in rows. That's not what I've got here. How do I fix it? That Excel grabs the first column and calls that X, grabs the second column and calls that Y. So to get it the right way round, I would have to go and take, copy that data, put it in a new spot. I lost my labels. So this was limit. This was rating. So I remember what I've got, and I need to move them around. Okay, I'm gonna cut it out, paste it over here. There. Now if I grab the two of them, and you can guess what's gonna happen. I insert, I go to my chart. Yeah, that looks fine. Now let me check and see what the numbers look like. Yes, here we are. These are ratings, they go up to 1,000. These are credit limits, they go up to 14,000. It's really easy to get it backwards and not realize it unless you're really paying attention to what the numbers are and what it's putting there. Be careful. So my X variable has to be on the left, Y variable has to be on the right. What other things can we do with this? Well, suppose I want to look at rating, but I want to see, does it vary depending upon whether or not I'm married or male or female or student or not student? You can do these. What you do is you split your data up into separate data sets. So male, female, that's into 2. Student is into 2. Married into 2. Ethnicity, this is an American data set, so it has Caucasian, Asian, and African American. Well, let's see what would happen if we switched it there. So what you have to do first is group it into this case, the 3 groups. So I'm going to sort these. First, I'm going to plot African Americans. So let's look at their ratings. Okay. So we're going to zip down here. African American, watch. We've got a lot of them here. Whoop, there. That's where we end with African Americans. And let's grab their balances. Okay. I didn't grab the labels. Insert charts. Here's my scatter chart. Okay. Now, that's African Americans. What does it look like for Asians? So let me go back and select data, and I'm going to add a new series. And this is Asians. And where are their X values? Well, I've got to go back to my data set. These were the African Americans. There they are. So start scrolling down the Asians. Oh, there we go. Do I have the right one? Let me covering things up. No. Oh, it grabbed the wrong one. I have to scroll all the way back up again. Excuse me. There they go. Okay. And now my Y variable, it says equals 1 in brackets. I'm not sure why. Leave the equal sign and go over, and we're going to grab the balances now for the Asians. Whoops, went too far again. Tricky. Excel sometimes goes so slow and sometimes so fast. There we go. All right. So I hit OK. So it's added that one. This one I should rename. Let me go back and edit it. It has no name. Okay. And I could add a third one. And I'll call it Caucasian. Did I spell that right? The X values for Caucasian. Again, I'm over here at rating. There it goes. And again, take that one out of there. Caucasian. Oh, there we go. All right. And that looks right. So there we've got them all in. And let me try. Okay. Where's my picture gone? There it is. So I've got gray dots and orange dots and blue dots all over the place. Can't tell what's what. If you go over to add chart element, add a legend here in the right there. So I can tell which dot belongs to whom. Doesn't look like there's much here. If there is a pattern, you might want to check on quick layout and look at lines. Even if I drew lines through, notice, I don't know if you can see this, but they're all on top of each other. They're all the same. That there's no real difference among those three groups. But if you were to play with this data set, try it with student, and you'll get some interesting results. Students look very different from the non-students in this data set. So what else can we do here? Well, this one, we looked at really three variables. This is credit rating, this is credit card balance, and we've looked at it by three different groups, so a third variable. What if our third variable was a number? What could we do with that? Well, let me get rid of this. So I'll take Let me take credit rating, and I'm going to take how many credit cards you have and what your balance is. And I'm going to put them in a new slide, new sheet. And actually, the key ones I want to look at are rating and balance. So those are my first two, and I'm going to keep them together. And I'm just going to move the cards over here. Okay, so this would be our normal chart. Make that bigger so you can see my numbers. So rating and balance. And then maybe I've got a different color or some way of flagging this third variable, just sort of like I did with the ethnicity. So what we could do though is grab all three at once and see if it did something like it just had, and gave me, I've got 5 different values here of number of cards. So maybe I've got 5 different colored dots. What does it suggest? Well, it suggests all kinds of funny things. Let me go over to all charts. I wanted a scatter chart. Now, you might see up at the very top a variety of funny looking charts besides a regular scatter chart. Go up here to the sky with bubbles. And I'm going to pick this one. I don't know what the other one is. That doesn't look very good. It's got ratings here, balances there, but these dots are strange. So let me click on them. Okay, so I'm going to format the data series. Go over to the third option that's there. It says that these bubbles are proportional to the number of cards you've got. I don't, let me put it to width. I don't like areas very well. Now I've got a little more variety, but they're so big. Make them smaller. I'm going to put down to 20. Whoop, there we go. So now I've got a chart, okay, that you've got some dots that are very, 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 very tiny. These little guys like this one. Here's a little tiny guy. And it probably reflects someone that has just one card. And then here's someone, they probably got 5 cards. That's a big dot. I can vary this around. But here, if I was looking for a pattern to see if you're someone that has only one credit card, do you borrow a lot on that card? Because that card would be this one that the bank's looking at. Whereas if you had 5 credit cards, the amount you borrow from this bank is smaller because you're borrowing against 4 other cards as well. Well, when I look at it, I don't see anything here. If I ask for a line, I'm going to get just one line, not 5 lines through here, not one for each one. But sometimes the bubbles give you information on a third variable, which can be very useful and insightful. So let's go back to the start. What have we got? First big takeaway, the biggest one, and the area of the most common mistakes is that the X variable, the one on the horizontal axis, has to be the left-hand column. The one on the vertical axis has to be the right-hand column. And then we're going to do a basic scatter chart from there. You should be labeling the axes of your chart so that you know which is which, because it's easy to forget, easy to get confused. Even the labeling forces you to give further thought to make sure you have them the right way around, like we had with credit limit and with the credit rating. That we can also put a line through the chart. Most commonly, people put a straight line, but you can put different types of curves there as well. How you're going to use that, that's another matter. Different day, different story. You can show more complicated things, like showing 2 groups, or in our case, we showed 3 different ethnicities in the same scatter chart by having different colors for different groups. You just need to sort your data first, and then build a chart for the first group, then go to add series and add in the second group's data. And then if there's more groups, add another series, add them in the X and the Y for them as well. The other thing that you can do of trying to add this third characteristic to a chart is to do a bubble chart. I'm sure you could probably do a bubble chart for multiple groups. We could probably have those bubble charts by ethnicity as well. But it, as you saw, it gets very complicated and very messy. But we can do many, many different sorts of things. So lots of neat stuff. And that scatter charts, really, really useful. You should look at them. And that's it. We're all done. So let me stop sharing. And I'm going to stop recording.